Into the corner tip and a backhand across. That one deflected wide. Konechny spills down with 6. Puck still loose. Nosek keeps it moving. The NHL's all-time win record now belongs to these Boston Bruins. They win their 63rd game of the season. 63, 12, and 5, and still 2 games on the schedule for the 22-23 Bruins.
Just remarkable.
"20 seconds remaining. The Golden Knights start to celebrate on their bench. The silver trophy to the Golden Knights. Ladies and gentlemen, the Stanley Cup!
This is What the Puck is Going On.
The puck is going on.
It is Saturday, February the 10th, 2024. Super Bowl weekend is where we are at. And we are live in the Chicks Beach Studios in the lovely Virginia Beach, Virginia, the United States of America. This is What the Puck is Going On, and we are going to discuss your entire Saturday NHL slate. Let's get to the standings first, as we always do to start the show. And Nephew Dave will be joining us here soon, the host of What the Puck is Going On. But let's go ahead and start in the Eastern Conference. In the Atlantic, the Bruins sit on top of the Panthers. Pretty much, they've had about that 5-point cushion here for the last several weeks. Toronto starting to fade back a little bit as well. And even the Bruins just pulling away just a hair here in the last week as Florida has tried to tighten up the Atlantic standings at a few moments. But Boston is red hot right now. They are 8-2 in their last 10. I feel like we say that every week. Just 10 losses on the season in regulation. 9 have come in overtime with 32 wins. For them, an outstanding 17-5-3 at home, 15-5-6 on the road for the Bruins. So they lead the Panthers right now by 5 points, 13 points clear of Toronto, who sits in third place. That's where we get a little bit more congested in the Atlantic with Tampa Bay with 59 points. Detroit has 58, and then we drop off to Montreal, Buffalo, and Ottawa there at the bottom. Coming off the All-Star break, you got to put these streaks that we have in perspective with the 10 games going before the All-Star break and then afterwards. I think next week we get a little bit better sample of the stretch of what kind of condition these teams may be in post All-Star break. But just for the good of recent form, we'll go ahead and include those games right before the break. Again, Boston 8-2. During that stretch run, Tampa Bay would be your other hot team, although they've lost 2 games now right here around the All-Star break, 7-3 in their last 10. The other hot team actually is Ottawa, who sits at the bottom, but they're 6-2-2 in their last 10, and they have won 2 in a row. You got to give Nephew Dave a little credit. He said that they are a scrappy team. Also doing fairly well here in their last 10 are the Red Wings. They are 6-2-2 overall. In the Metropolitan, the Rangers sit on top of the Panthers. They are 6 points clear of them, winners of 4 in a row. And again, you got to keep everything in perspective since we did have the All-Star break and whatnot. And Nephew Dave pops in the studio now. Nephew, what's up? How are you, sir?
Steve, how are you this morning?
Everything going good?
Yes, everything is going good.
The Rangers, 69 points again on top of the Metro. Carolina has 63 in second place. Both those teams pretty hot here with their recent form. The Rangers, after sputtering a bit, now have won 4 in a row. The Hurricanes, 7-3 overall in their last 10. If you make your way down the rest of the division, you'll won't see much consistency except on the bad side of our Capitals, who've now lost 6 in a row and sit second from last place from Columbus. But how about that? Still 9 points ahead of Columbus. Somehow that tells you how bad the Blue Jackets have been overall. Anything else really stick out in that Metro for me? Not really. Everyone just in average form for the most part. Flyers, third place. Islanders, fourth place. Penguins in the fifth place. Still some separation in the points overall. Everyone just kind of evenly spread out for the most part. But the Rangers with at least semi-firm control for the time being there in the Metro. As far as the Western Conference goes, let's see. It's always tight in the Central, isn't it? Dallas and the Avalanche, 68 points apiece. The Jets have 65, and then we have a drop-off. Blues, 54. Nashville, 54. Minnesota, 51. Arizona has really, really regressed here. Injuries, an issue for them as well. But 49, one of the sweetheart stories to start the season. And they are back down to 49. Although if you look at their record, you can't say that they're doing bad. They are 23, 23, and 3. So just a really good division overall is what that's telling you there with the Central here in the Western Conference. The Blackhawks are the one bad team. They have lost 6 in a row. How about this? Everyone is on a losing streak of some sort in the Central as well. As you talk about how good it is. Now, a streak not really for Dallas. They just lost 1 in a row, and they are the hot team. 7-2-1 in the division, but the Avalanche have lost 3 in a row. The Jets have now lost 5 in a row. The Blues better 6-3-1, but lost their last time out. The Predators have lost 3 in a row. The Coyotes have lost 4 in a row, and the Blackhawks have lost 6 in a row. So a bunch of streaks to pay attention there in the Central. And as far as the Pacific goes, Vancouver sits on top of that division with 73 points. Golden Knights have 68 in second place. Both of those teams are hot to wrap around the All-Star break. 7-1-2 for the Canucks. The Knights are 7-2-1. Edmonton 9-1. They finally get a loss, but still have very much drastically improved their condition from the beginning of the season. 61 points for them. Let's see. And then we get a little bit of a bunch here in the middle with the Kings, Flames, and Kraken, and the Ducks and the Sharks sit towards the bottom. Let's see. Those streaks for the Pacific are just those teams you mentioned, really. The Oilers, Knights, and Canucks, all in really good form. The Kings have struggled, but they've been able to incorporate a few wins here lately, so we'll see if they can start to trend back up consistently. And the Flames have won 3 in a row, so that would be your one streak here for Calgary that we have going on there. So, Dave, anything stick out to you standings-wise?
Well, Steve, you touched on Edmonton. Really bad start for them, as you mentioned. And they had a chance to break that record the other night. Losing to Vegas, that was a pretty tight game. I watched most of it. So I think Edmonton is somebody, that we can certainly kind of start putting our trust back into as they are, about as hot as it gets, really. Vancouver, a nice story. Look for them to definitely be in the running there. You could probably get some nice numbers on them winning that division. But LA, a little bit of a letdown, Steve. 8, 9, and 6 at home. But when they're on the road, 15, 6, and 4. So it tells me that they're a much better road team. And if, they get into the playoffs, which we suspect that they will, you got to think you got to start winning your home games a little bit. So that's probably the one thing that worries me there about LA. St. Louis just hanging around. They're a pesky team as well. So I like what they're doing, Steve. Did not see them making the playoffs, and as you know, we still have I think just over 30 games to go. So there's still a lot of time for things to flip flop here. But St. Louis holding that second wild card spot, I think is definitely a little bit surprising in my book.
Injury related, and I've mentioned this on our last show that we had before the All-Star break, is that all these teams seem just healthier at this point of the season than they were last year. And that seems to kind of definitely be the case right now. As you know, last year we could have, 3 or 4 teams with over 10 or 12 injuries apiece. But Chicago is one of your more banged up teams right now, so keep that in mind. Their superstar youngster Connor Bedard still will be out here for at least a few more weeks. Besides that, Colorado, who's been notoriously an injured team, comes in relatively healthy now at this standpoint of the season. Montreal, who was decimated by injuries last year, are better now at this point of the season, not as bad. The Devils, who have been pretty banged up, are getting healthier as well. So keep that in mind. San Jose is one of your more banged up teams, which is not going to be good for them, really. If that might be one to, we talk about playing the penalty box. I don't know if San Jose's ever gotten out of it, Dave, but
no,
they're even more reason if they're going to be a banged up squad to keep them in there. And besides that, Toronto's a little dinged up, but not super bad. Vegas had some injuries, concerns for sure. Our Capitals, with their key players, some of those guys, Kuznetsov, Sonny Milano, all these guys banged up. So the personnel that they lack and that they need to fill voids, a couple of those guys dinged up, which will not help their cause either. All right, so really, I would take my main thing, Dave, from the injuries notes is just kind of be aware of Vegas a little bit. And Chicago and San Jose, you can probably continue to try to pound on. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And Steve, we hate to say it, and you never want to be too negative against your team, but I think the Capitals are a prime target right now for the penalty box, and to just keep hammering on, Steve. Really a big opportunity to get probably some nice numbers, as we'll talk about, from Boston today. That's going to be another tough test. Worth noting that the Capitals have the hardest schedule in the NHL the rest of the way out. And so the way that they have been playing, that does not speak, good measures for them. So if you're out there and you're, wagering on hockey a little bit, I think, unfortunately, that they are one of the teams that can be picked on. It's a complete mess there in DC. So keep that in mind as well.
Understood. And that will be the standalone game at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And to start the slate, which is great. I mean, Saturday does work good for the show in the sense that we do, for the most part, have a full slate. Not everyone's in action today, but we do have a decent amount of people playing. How about the Caps having to play back-to-back on Super Bowl weekend as well?
Right.
With the game tomorrow against Vancouver, so it doesn't get easier for them. But we do have a good start of the day with 4 games at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Look at that. We have the Caps game at 3, a game starting at 6, and then we'll scatter them out through the evening with a 7, 8, and a late face-off as well. The late night game with the Oilers and the Kings could be a very good late night game to get involved with as well. Okay, so the first game on the board are the Stars minus 220 and the Canadians over under 6.5. Dave, what do you got here?
So Steve, I think you play the Stars here. Montreal, I feel like they're just the kind of below average team here. You're getting a puck line for the Stars, minus 1.5 plus 120. If you wanted to play that, it's Dallas from what we've seen. I would probably be comfortable playing that. The over under 6.5. If you've been listening to this show, you know how I feel about the 6.5s. They just make me a little uncomfortable. You know, it goes one way or the other in the sense that, okay, you think these two teams, you know, you get two top tier teams playing. Oh, this will fly over, and the game is 3-2. So these 6.5s can be tough. But I think another play, if you wanted to just kind of, you know, go with a little bit lower of a number, I think the Dallas Stars on the 60-minute line at -140. It would definitely find its way onto a ticket for me. I think you could play the team totals as well. We'll take a quick look at that. Well, over 3.5 for the Stars is -140. They are capable of getting that, but I think I would rather take the 60-minute line for the same price. I think it's got to be, you know, Stars here or nothing. Steve, what are you thinking here?
Interesting matchup. Just because I feel like the Canadians may be one of those bad teams that may be getting a little bit better here. That's just kind of my gut instinct. Why do I think this might be a lower game scoring game? Just because of the early start. The Stars burned me last time on this show, Dave, on a Saturday, so I think this will be a pass for me at the end of the day. I don't have any goalies listed. Do you?
Let me check. I don't believe I did.
Maybe keep your goalies up if you do get them, because I remember last time I was on the Saturday show when I was looking for our net minders, I was not able to find, I don't think, any listed.
I do not have any listed either, right, Steve. But here's the thing with your under. I do like that because either way, the Stars have some pretty good goaltending. So I feel comfortable in the fact for them to keep Montreal, you know, scoring at a minimum. So I do like the under if you wanted to have some kind of action here on that game.
The Canadians have allowed 177 goals. They've only scored 141. Dallas, in retrospect, have scored 189 and have allowed 157. If you want to put everything in perspective of goals scored and goals allowed, I would say that anything around 170 goals scored is good, and anything around 170 goals allowed is bad. So use that as your over-under mark, and maybe even a little bit lower, mid to upper 60s. You can kind of put into that perspective. So in that sense, Dallas should be able to find the net here, and your 60-minute line is probably a better play than anything I would have to offer here, Dave. So we'll just roll with that overall. Let's see. Do you have any goalies listed for Vancouver and Detroit? This will be our goalie test here.
All right, let's see what we got.
Another
here.
1 o'clock game. Good game here with Detroit in their recent form being overall pretty well. Vancouver's been very strong all season.
Negative on the goalies there, Steve. They're just not giving it to me either. So
okay, Detroit has scored 176 goals. They have allowed 161. So a little bit better scoring team, more of an over team for sure. I think we discussed that our last time out as well. Are the Red Wings, and the Canucks have scored 189, just allowing 133 goals this season. So good game, maybe more of an over game in this one at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But a good matchup with Vancouver and Detroit. Dave, what do you like?
So, Steve, you know, I'm going to go against what I said here in the last game. Now, these two teams, I would feel a little bit more comfortable playing this over 6.5 at -120. You could get me on board with that. These two teams are certainly capable of lighting the lamp. So I could see every bit of a 4-3 game here. Maybe one of these teams gets a 5 spot on the board. Both teams playing pretty well, so figure this will probably be a pretty interesting game, and if you're able to watch it, I think it's certainly worth tuning in as well. So I think your team props, your team goals would be alive in this too. If we're going to go with the over 6.5, you can get Detroit -180 at over 2.5. If Detroit can get to 4, you can get +130. And what these numbers are telling me is that the book is expecting some goals here. As well as myself, I would think that as well. Now you have to kind of climb the ladder here. Over 3.5 for the Canucks is at a -105. I think that's probably worth giving a ride as well if we're going to play the overs. So Steve, give me over 6.5, and I think you could really go either way on a team total here.
All right, let's see here. Next game on the board will be Calgary, who's been a hot team, at the Islanders, who need to find themselves a new identity with Patrick Waugh now leading the team on the bench. The Islanders are a short favorite here, -130, over under 6.5. Give me the Red Hot Flames here on the straight money line at +108 if that's what you're going to offer me, Dave. But what do you got here?
I think that as well, Steve, because I believe, and it might not have been, I need to double check, but I think the Islanders played last night also. I'd have to double check, but if that's the case, that's definitely going to work out for the Flames. Let's check that real quick, just so we're not making any assumptions here on that.
I'm trying to look it up.
No, last night they did not play, so figure this to be a pretty good game. But I like your Flames angle here, and if that's going to be the case, you're getting a plus number for a team on a winning streak. As you mentioned with the standings, inconsistencies is what worries me about the Islanders here. So, Steve, give me the Flames on the money line. I'm going to ride that one with you. Right. Plus 110, that'll be.
All right. And I don't have any goalies listed in this game either.
Let me check here. I have no goalies as well. It's going to be these early games that are probably not going to give us the goalies, is what it's looking like.
Let's see here. All right, next game on the board. Last game at 1 o'clock. Your St. Louis Blues and the Sabres. Buffalo -144, 6.5. So what's the angle here?
Steve, I'm just gonna go short and simple with this one. Give me St. Louis on the money line at +120. I might have to go home and break out my St. Louis Blues Aaron Downey jersey, if anybody remembers that name.
I do.
From the Admirals way back in the day. I actually had the chance to meet him, Steve. That was pretty cool. Had dinner with him there in Providence, Rhode Island, when he played for their AHL team, the Providence Bruins. Really cool experience. Super nice guy. He got called up. Ended up getting my hands on a Aaron Downey St. Louis Blues jersey when he did his stint with him. So I'm going to give St. Louis a little love today, and we're not going to get too crazy with it. We're just going to go on the money line. Buffalo, another one of those inconsistent teams that I really just can't put any trust in. They have some nice pieces, but we expected them also to be a little bit better this year. Things just have seemed to gone flat there in Buffalo. So, Steve, give me St. Louis +120 on the money line.
All right. I'm going to pass on this one while I look for better plays on the board. Capitals and Bruins. Let's get to that one. We talked about how strong the Bruins have been and how bad the Capitals have been, Dave. So go ahead. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so it was funny. Last night I was talking to a friend, and I told him, hey, go ahead and play Boston at -2.5. This could be a thumping, on the part with the Bruins doing the thumping. So, Steve, you got +220 for the Capitals to win this game, +330 on the money line. You got to think, if you want to give them a shot, they've got to win sometime. Is it going to be today? I don't think so. This game has an over-under of 5.5, so you might could get me on board with that. Goaltending has seemed to go cold there for the Capitals, whereas Charlie Lindgren was getting most of the looks in net and was playing very well, doing everything he could and can to keep this team, somewhat in the playoff race. He's been tagged up his last few times out, so the trust factor that we always talk about is diminishing a little bit there with him. So, Steve, I don't think we're going to get any goalie matchups here. Nope, I don't have him, but figure Kemper was in last time out, so I would believe they're going to play Lindgren. But Steve, as much as I like that goaltender against a high-powered Bruins team, defense really, letting the Caps down at the moment. I just don't see, a way that the Caps come out on top on this one. Unfortunately, now, that'd be great if they did, but if we're going to go by, lines and wagering here, I think the smart money is on Boston, Steve, and you could probably do whatever you want with them. Minus 180 for a 60-minute line is maybe where I would gravitate to.
And you've gotten to the point where David Pastrnak is a favorite as a goal scorer in his game. It's minus 130 for him to score a goal. So if you want Pastrnak for one in the back of the net, then you're going to have to risk more money than what you'll get back. $130 will win you 100 on that one.
Or take him for 2 if you can. I mean, there's always that possibility.
2 goals for Pastrnak today is plus 460.
All right, now see that maybe that's something you could start.
And if you want
with.
the hat trick, 21-1 odds for that. But a great goal scorer is Pastrnak, and a candidate to be whatever. What's the award for the best player in the NHL, Dave? I get them all. I get the Vezina. I get all these awards.
Yeah, Vezina's for the goalie. It might be the Hobie Baker Award.
Right,
I'd have to check on that though.
All right, yeah, very confusing with the names.
Yeah, they got so many of those awards, Steve. It's insane. It's hard to keep up with. If you maybe wanted to take some kind of shot with the Capitals, you want to back them in some kind of way over 2.5 goals, which they almost never get to. It's hard even kind of watching these games anymore as they don't score more than 2. And if they do, they're still losing. So over 2.5 at plus 125 if you want to back them in some kind of way, Steve.
All right, the next game on the board is a good one. This was an over play for me the last time out, and over it did go, and that's the Avalanche and the Florida Panthers. The Panthers are minus 137. Imagine Bob Vrosky will be in net here for sure. Plus 114 for the Avalanche, over under 6.5 in this game. But yeah, for me, go ahead and give me the over, Bob Vrosky or not. I think there are goals scored in this game. And I would lean towards Florida here as well, I think. I wouldn't take them on a 60-minute line, but at minus 137, that's a short enough favorite on the road. And the Avalanche have not been exactly blowing it out of the water here lately. So give me the Panthers in a higher scoring game, Dave.
Yeah, Steve, I would like to think that this game goes over again. You could give me over 3.5 for the Florida Panthers today to maybe take advantage of Colorado's struggles a little bit. Minus 110 if you wanted to get a little bit better number for the Panthers to score 4 goals. They're definitely playing some good hockey as of right now, so I think I would definitely take a chance on that. I like your money line play there as well. So I think the 2 better plays here, you take their team total or you just take them straight up there at home, Steve, which I think is achievable.
All right. Then we get to the post matinee slate here with the 7 o'clock face-offs. We have 5 games at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. AM would be very early. 7 a.m. Eastern is when we'll start the round robin Super Bowl special tomorrow, our last round robin of the football season. So tune into that. But the Jets and the Penguins, interesting game here with the Penguins trying to surge, and the Jets, who have been a nice team, really finding some hard luck here as of late. But they'll be the favorite at home, minus 154, over under 5.5. Both of these teams have been under teams for sure. So a dead set under here, David?
Well, it's 5.5, Steve, and that is a tricky underplay. The last time that these two played, the Penguins actually shut them out. I think it was 3-0. So expect that to not happen again. I got to think Winnipeg remembers that, and they'll be able to kind of take hold in this game. as Pittsburgh can also be inconsistent. Now they're going out to Winnipeg. So, Steve, give me Winnipeg on the 60, and we'll look at that number at a minus 110. Sign me up on that all day long.
I talked about the where you would be as far as goals scored, goals allowed. Maybe more like 160 would be a good baseline. Winnipeg has scored 149 goals. They've allowed just 116 on the season. How good is that? And then Pittsburgh, with Sidney Crosby and all, just 153 goals scored, and they've allowed just 129 goals overall. So these would be two of your better actually, they would be your two best teams as far as allowing goals here this season would be the Jets and the Penguins overall. So keep all that in mind there. Just ironic to see that a Pittsburgh Penguins team who's been known for goal scoring over the years can't seem to find the back of the net consistently here this NHL season.
Right.
The Devils will get a good litmus test to see if they are on any kind of a resurgence as they are in Carolina tonight in Raleigh. And I believe as far as the back-to-backs go, this is a back-to-back for Carolina. Am I right there? Maybe I'm not right.
I'll look that up right now.
The Devils are plus 130. Carolina minus 156 here. Over-under is 6.5. Back-to-back or not, I would take the Hurricanes here. The Devils just have not been what we thought that they would be. Tough matchup for them here in Carolina. Carolina has great home ice, so I would favor them in this spot on a Saturday night for sure. What about you, Dave?
Yeah, I like Carolina on the 60-minute line, Steve. No back-to-back as I'm checking. Okay. But rewind.
They played Thursday.
Yeah, rewind just a hair. Pittsburgh on the back-to-back. Playing the Wild last night, losing 3-2. So maybe a little bit more comfortable with that Winnipeg play as well. But give me Carolina on the 60 at minus 120. They're just the better team. Their compete level is very high. And as you mentioned, Steve, New Jersey just not quite showing what we thought we would see out of them this year. Division rivals, so figure it to be a good game, but I think at the end of the day, Carolina gets the job done at home.
Toronto and Ottawa. I talked about Ottawa being a little bit hot here. You called them a pesty team. Are they going to put up a good enough effort here against the Toronto team who comes in a little banged up? Toronto actually just somewhat of a slight favorite, minus 134 over under 6.5 here, Dave. So what do you got?
So I think the team totals here for the Senators is a good chance. I've played that a couple times, and most of the time, Steve, it has worked out. So over 2.5 is at minus 190. I think that's in play. I would like that number to be a little bit better. But if I want to back the Senators here a little bit, I think that's where I would take it to. Over 3.5, I feel like might be pushing it. But there is a plus 125 number. I'm going to actually, in this game, look to kind of pick on a banged-up Toronto squad, and I think that over 2.5 play is probably where I'm going to settle.
All right. Probably a pass for me at the end of the day, but I do like your team goal perspective here. And Toronto can score goals as well, so maybe an over 6.5.
I could see that, absolutely. Whether it be 5-2, 5-3, I think that's where this game ultimately ends up.
Toronto with 173 goals on the year. They've allowed 157. Ottawa have scored 158, allowing 170. So, yeah, I would lean over on this one as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good play.
All right. Let's see. Next one on the board. Seattle and Philadelphia, just about a coin flip for this game with the spread. A slight favor for the Kraken. Over under 5.5. Now, the Kraken had a little bit of a resurgence, have since leveled back off. The Flyers, nice start to the season. They leveled off, but I believe they're playing a hair bit better lately. Yeah, 2 wins in a row for them, and they are at home. So an interesting matchup here. Going to be in no play for me at the end of the day, Dave. But what do you like here?
Yeah, this game is really it might be the toughest one on the board to handicap here. It does have an over under of 5.5, so I think I would give the over a shot. It's just a much better number to play the over on. So you get a minus 112 price for the over. And if I'm going to do anything with that, it would probably, be that. So give me over 5.5, Steve.
All right. Arizona and Nashville. Arizona's been struggling. Nashville, not so much even. I think they've been struggling too, if I remember correctly. Yeah, losers of 3 in a row themselves. Arizona losers of 4 in a row. So 2 teams down on their luck here. But still, I believe the Predators still have somewhat of a playoff aspiration here for sure, right? Yeah,
they're not far out of it.
Yeah, they're right up there. They have as many points as the Blues do with 54. So they're in the mix of things. So you got to favor them with Saros, I think, a little bit at home here. But what are you thinking?
Steve, the first thing that pops out to me here is an under. Now, I have it on my book set at an even 6. I think I would move that to 6.5. And I think that these two teams, this has probably got 3-2 written all over it. Arizona struggling, and I don't know about you, Steve, but when I think Nashville, I think defense. They're not the team usually in my mind that goes out and lights it up every evening. They kind of try to play a tighter defensive game. So give me the under here today, Nashville versus the Coyotes.
All right. And our last game on the slate, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, the Kings and the Oilers. The Kings a slight underdog at home, over under 6.5. Now, I know Edmonton's been better on defense, but go ahead and give me an over here, 6.5, Dave. What are you thinking?
So I hate to say it because the Kings are kind of my darling of the West. For me, I'm going to take the Oilers here just straight up. Let's not get, complicated with this one. These are division rivals. So minus 130 for Edmonton. And it's worth noting that the stats that I gave out for the Kings playing at home, that record is not where they would like it to be. And if we're going to try and make, a little bit of sense out of this one, we're going to go against the Kings, given that their home record it seems to be what is biting them at the moment. So, Steve, give me Edmonton minus 130 straight up. If you wanted to get kind of funky with it, you could say you could definitely take a 60-minute for Edmonton. But I think the better play is just take your 130 and run with it.
All right. Let's go ahead and throw a couple teams in the penalty box. And we will go ahead and give out our best bets as well. So we'll queue up the old referees.
And you're trying to switch 7 guys, Mike. Come on. You can't do that. That was probably number 10. 2 minutes broken. I got 82. Tampa tripping.
Maybe we need a goal scorer segment as well.
Right.
A goal. Which Pasternak would be number 1 pick for me on all that today. But I'll go ahead and throw the Coyotes in the penalty box, Dave. They're banged up. They're struggling. They face a good goaltender more than likely tonight. So where Arizona's been a little bit of a nice story and still sitting strong at 500 in a tough Central Division. Things may weigh out here a little bit more, and you'll start to see this team decline as we get towards the playoffs. So throw the Coyotes in the box for me.
Steve, so I'm going to go ahead and throw my own Capitals in there as we talked about. Losers of 6 in a row going against a nice Boston team today. Just doesn't go well for them. Looking to be sellers at the trade deadline to kind of right the ship, figure out what personnel is going to be right for them in this kind of transition period that we haven't seen from the Capitals in quite some time. So there's some figuring out to do there. So, Steve, give me the Caps in the box, unfortunately.
And I do like the Bruins to beat them today. I'll also take the Florida Panthers to defend home ice and win in that game. I'll look for a higher scoring game in Vancouver and Detroit as well. And I'll take Calgary on the road in Nassau on Long Island against the Islanders. Did we skip Lightning and Blue Jackets?
We did.
We did skip Lightning and Blue Jackets. Give me the Lightning in that game, Dave.
Absolutely. Yep.
Minus 182. So easy pickings there. What about you?
All right, Steve, I'm going to take the Oilers straight up tonight. We're going to take a stab here with Winnipeg to kind of get the bad taste out of their mouth from the last time that they played the Penguins. So we're going to take them straight up as well. I'm going to go with the Lightning on the puck line tonight at plus 136 for minus 1.5. That should be very much achievable playing the Blue Jackets tonight. Give me some Ottawa team goals. We're going to back them again today. And then we will take the Red Hot Flames at plus 110 as well on the money line.
All right. Let's look at the futures board real quick, and we'll go ahead and get on out of here for this Saturday, February the 10th, 2024. Of course, you can go to deepend757.com and get the replay for the games that start at 1 o'clock. So you got a little bit of time here, about 2 hours plus to replay and figure out what you may want to wager on here today. Full slate of hockey in the Metro. Now let's check this out. Your favorites are the Rangers are minus 135. You're getting plus 145 on Carolina. Pittsburgh all the way down to 23-1. Nothing of interest to me there, Dave. Anything for you?
No, the only thing, if I was thinking about anything, would be Carolina at plus 130. Number not quite big enough for the futures market for me there in the Metro. We kind of see the road that division's going down as far as possible winners. So not much there interesting to me, Steve.
As far as the Atlantic goes, it's a 2-horse race right now for the most part, with Boston and Florida trying to pull away from Toronto. Florida, you're just getting that 2-1 odds to overcome that 5-point deficit. That's not enough for me at this point with a strong Bruins team. But both of these teams good. I will not be surprised if Florida does end up winning that division at some point. But for plus 200, I'll stay out. How about you, Dave?
Give me the Tampa Bay Lightning at 40-1 to win that division. We got some Tampa Bay love here in the studio, that's for sure. But that's a very nice price for a team that is very capable. Playing.
All they need to do is go on a hot streak here and just not lose. And they have won 7 of their last 10, trailing the Bruins by 14 points.
Right. Well, you got to figure, if they can somehow string 6 wins together, which, again, this is a good team. They have some nice pieces. So certainly capable, and that really puts them back into the mix. And that's a big, juicy number, I feel like, for Tampa, Steve.
All right. Let's see here. In the Central, plus 160 for Dallas, plus 180 for Colorado, plus 190 for the Jets. And then it really drops off. So it's going to be a 3-horse race there unless you want to take your Blues at 250-1 odds. What do you got?
Give me the Jets 2-1. Again, futures market, in my eyes, you want to look for these kind of bigger numbers that you think that these teams can kind of not so much right the ship, but kind of string some points together and really kind of put themselves in the mix. So if you're asking me to do that, I think Winnipeg at 2-1. But again, really smaller numbers there in the Central.
Vancouver is minus 145, Edmonton plus 330, Golden Knights plus 390, Kings 19-1, Calgary and Seattle 250-1 in the Pacific. Any play there?
I have Vegas at plus 475, and I think that is a great number for where they're sitting at right now. Vegas certainly capable of winning this division, and I think that's a nice, good number. That's probably as good as you're going to get, unless they go on a little bit of a losing streak. But figure that probably not to be the case. So give me the Knights to win this division plus 475.
All right. That's not a bad price. Yeah, for sure. Anything else here sticking out? Conference wise. Who's your pick right now to win the East and the West?
So I'm going to take Edmonton to win the West. And then I'm going to really go out on a limb
I think
here.
I like that too, to be honest. And what else?
12-1 for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Well, I see 120 to 1.
Oh, that's much better.
Well, yeah, I got 120 to 1. Let's see. Am I looking at this right? Yeah, $10 wins 1,200.
Nice.
The Leafs are 21 to 1. Hurricanes are plus 750. Rangers plus 350. Florida plus 320. And the Bruins at even money. Yeah, so look around. Penguins at 150 to 1. Flyers at 180 to 1. Yeah, my book, if you put down $10 on Tampa to win the East, I don't know if that's a misprint or not, but you're going to get $1,200 back anyway. Wow. So
that's pretty wild there.
And yours is really 12 to 1?
Yeah. So I just punched it in. Tampa Bay Lightning, Eastern Conference winner, $10 pays $130.
Wow. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is your definition of
shop around.
Yeah, without a doubt. All right, guys. Good luck on your hockey slate. Nephew Dave, any last thoughts?
No, should be a nice full day of hockey. So we'll be tuning into some of this. Maybe I'll watch the first 10 minutes of the Caps game. That's about all I got out of it last time and the time before that. So we'll see how that goes. But we'll tune in, give them a little support, and hope for the best. But nice full day of hockey, Steve.
All right. Good luck, everyone.
What the puck is going on?